As-Sabiqun wa rahmatullah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Allah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah.
La hawla wa la quwwata
Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala falah. Hayya ala falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Allah.
La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Maduhu wa asta'inuhu wa astadihi wa astakfiruhu wa umminu bihi jalla wa ala wa la akfuruhu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. As-salahu bil huda wa dinil haq liyudhhiruhu ala ad-din kullihi walau karihal mushrikun. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, His assistance and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is His servant and messenger. Allah sent him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. And this way of life known as Islam will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. Amma ba'd fa inna asdiqal hadith kitabullah wa awtaqa al-ura kalimatu taqwa wa khayrul milali milatu Ibrahim wa khayrul sunani sunatu Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam wa ashraful hadith dhikrullah wa asanu al-kasasi hadha al-Quran wa khayrul umuri awazzimuha wa shayrul umuri muhtatatuha wa asanu al-hadyu hadyu al-anbiya wa ashraful maut katlu shuhada wa ashraful maut katlu shuhada wa ashraful maut katlu shuhada wa amma al-amma dalalatul ba'd al-huda wa khayrul amali ma nafa'a wa khayrul hadi ma utba'a wa shayrul amma al-kalb. Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, the most truthful of discourses is the book of Allah. The most trustworthy word is taqwa, or fear of Allah. The best of the communities is the community of Prophet Ibrahim. The best way of life is the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The remembrance of Allah is the most glorious of all things. The best of all narrations is Quran. The best acts are those requiring the highest degree of will and determination. The worst acts are those based on innovation. The best way of life is the one adopted by the prophets of Allah. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most wretched blindness consists of going astray after finding the right way. Best acts are the ones that yield benefits. Best guidance is that which people may be able to follow. The worst blindness is the blindness of the heart. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna Allah yahmuru bil adli wal ihsani wa itai dal kurba wa yanha anil fashai wal munkari wal bagi ya'itukum la'alakum tadhakkarun. Allah commands justice, the doing of good, and liberality to kith and kin. He forbids all shameful deeds and injustice and rebellion. He instructs you that you may receive admonition. Kuntum khayra umatin ukrijat lil nasi tamaruna bil marufi wa tanhauna anil munkar wa tuhminuna billah. You're the best peoples ever raised up for mankind, because you enjoin the right and forbid the wrong, and there's believing in Allah. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu attaqullaha haqqa tukatihi wa la tamutuna illa wa antum muslimun. Oh, you believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not die except in the state of Islam. Wa tasimu bihablillahi jami'an wa la tafarraqu. And hold fast altogether by the rope which Allah stretches out for you, and be not divided amongst yourselves. Aqulu qawli hadha wa astaghfirullah li wa lakum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairul mursaleen. Muhammadin an-Nabi al-Ummi. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd, yaqulu Allahu ta'ala fil Quran al-Kareem. Inna Allaha wa malaikatuhu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuha alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu tasliman. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Maulana Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wa man ahsanu qawlan mimman da'a ila Allah wa amila salihan wa qala innani minal muslimin. Wa la tastawi al-hasanatu wa la as-sayyiatu adfa billati hiya wa ahsinu fa idha alladhi baynaka wa baynahu da'watun ka'annahum waliyyun hamimun. Wa ma yulakaha illa alladhina sabaru wa man yulakaha illadhi Dhul Hatim Adim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, who is better in speech than one who calls men to Allah, works righteous deeds, and says, I am of those who bow in Islam. Nor can goodness and evil be equal. Repel evil with that which is better. then will be between whom and thee is hatred become as it were a friend and intimate. No one will be granted such goodness except those who exercise patience and self-restraint, none but persons of the greatest good fortune. This is a couple of ayats that it relates to a serious stage of evolution, because it starts off, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ الصَّالِحَاتِ. So, who is better in speech? Who are the best people in speech? Or, what is the best speech? What's the best speech that you can make as an individual or as a Muslim? It says, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ. So the best speech is to invite people to Allah. Da'wa, right? Da'a ila Allah. And follow that up. You know, just imagine that out of all the stuff going around in the world today, your goal and your first thing in your mind is to invite people to Allah. Invite people to Islam. Now, the TV and the radio and everything, the movies, is inviting people to everything but Islam. Therefore, you may seem a little bit, they're inviting people to work, they're inviting people to sex, they're inviting people to drugs. Hey, man, they're inviting people that boy go with boy, girl go with girl. I mean, they're inviting. And they're doing professional dawah too. Right? Tell the truth. They're doing it overtly and they're doing it subliminally, psychologically. Right? They're doing it right in front of you, but they're putting it in other stuff. And they got it coming from the left and the right, from behind. You're being bombarded with everything, right? So they want to have a new bathroom, a neutral bathroom. It's not a boy bathroom, not a girl bathroom. It's a neutral bathroom. And after that, they're going to want to break it down 4 or 5 more times. So you have 6 bathrooms, right? For all other kind of, well, today I feel like a boy, so I'm going to go in this one. And tomorrow I feel like a girl, and I'm going to go in that one. And then I want to go into the one of suspended animation. Well, I don't know how I feel today, right? Can you imagine? Look at it now. That's the way the system is moving. That's the way it don't have nothing to do with me and you. That's the way everything is moving. In this atmosphere, the best thing da'a ilallah. Invite people to Allah. Invite people to Islam. You may be by yourself or kind of not too big of numbers, but not only invite them to Allah, but show them what's going on with Islam. How? Amilu salihat. By working good deeds, righteous deeds, right? See, Islam is not a spectator deen, not a spectator religion where you watch it, get a seat and watch. Let me see how them Muslims act. No, you doing it, right? It's not a baseball game. It's not none of that. Where you get a seat and just watch how that. Let's see what's happening with that, and you watch it happen. No, amilu salihat. To work, to do, to practice, to enjoin righteous deeds. And then, after all that, innaini min al-muslimin. And you're not no coward about this. You're not hiding it under the table. You stand up proudly and say, yeah, I'm a Muslim. And what's happening with that? You're saying that to the people. You're saying that to the government. You're saying that to the Zionist forces that rob and murder and kill all our brothers in Palestine and everywhere else that's a Zionist. You can believe there's murder going on for the Muslims. Whether it's Saudi Arabia, the richest Arab country in the world, attacking our brothers in Yemen for the last 6 years, and ain't nobody putting a stop to it. You know who they call the bad guys? Well, the Yemenis, they may be supported by Islamic forces. And they bombing hospitals, wedding parties, right? They kill everybody they get their hands on. Now here, me and you, we standing up and we say, hey, I'm not one of these people that believe we did 9/11. I'm proud to be a Muslim. I'm happy to be a Muslim, right? You ain't slipping around surreptitiously and saying, by the way, and you look around, I'm a Muslim. Hey, I'm a Muslim big time, and I'm happy about it. All right, now. وَلَا تَسْتَوِي حَسَنَاتُ وَلَا السَّيِّئَاتُ أَدْفَى بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ. So it's saying goodness and evil, they're not equal. Tastawi, they're not equal. Evil is evil and good is good. There ain't no balance, there ain't no meeting of those forces. So repel evil with good. That's what it's saying. Equalize bad by doing good. Then it may between whom and thee is hatred become as it were a friend and intimate. Adawatun ka'annahu waliyun hamimun. This is very serious. This is one of our favorite ayats, and we do it from time to time because we look at this as our mission. I mean, the whole Quran is our mission. There are certain specific things at a specific time that just jump out from the Quran. So, then it will be between whom and thee was hatred become as it were a friend and intimate. Months ago, we used this for white folks, because at that time, they was having a lot of heroin and opiates, killing a lot of white people. I mean, and usually it had been killing us. But can you imagine a couple of years back, 2015, it was 70,000 white folks being knocked over by what used to be killing us 5,000 or 10,000 years. So as Muslims now, we have to be sympathetic, right, to that cause. So that's why this is a very serious. It may be between whom and thee was hatred become as it were a friend and intimate. It uses the word adawatun ka'annahu waliyun hamimun. Wali, you get married, you sister got to have a wali and all that, right? So a wali is like an attorney, an advocate, somebody that goes out on your behalf. So it's saying the Muslims, according to what we're understanding right now, in this case, would be the wali of all those white folks all over America. Of course, our own too, mixed right in there. We're still losing big numbers. But for a while, their numbers had shot up. Can you imagine? It was more white folks dying of OD. And the white folks was cold about it. That Narcan that bring you back, and they was bringing all the white folks back, stopping the effects of that heroin. And the white folks was mad. Hey, man, I liked where I was. They didn't want to be. Can you imagine? You didn't see the stuff on TV. The white folks was mad. You bring a Negro back. He said, boy, that's good. That's good. I'm glad. Well, white folks, they said, man, I like that knot. I like that good old Haran that was kid that about ready to take me out. Hey, I was gone and happy to go. Right? For that type of people, waliyun hamimun. Hamim is warm water. So it's saying that the people that you and them was hatred and animosity, right? Between would become your warm and intimate friends. Then it goes on to say, and no one will be granted such goodness except those who exercise patience and self-restraint, none but persons of the greatest good fortune. So, that's our mission here in America. I have one of our old flyers from Oakland. Masjid al-Islam presents a series of lectures. So this is April 1986, all during April and May. Drugs and their effects. This is our masjid in Oakland in 86. That was a while back, 35. That was 35 years ago, right? So we didn't just get started in this. And it has drugs effects on the individual, on the family and friends, on the community, drugs as a means of exploitation and control. How can we save ourselves and our community from this deadly and dangerous element? So, in other words, drugs is not new to us. And it wasn't new to me because that happened to be at one time, not heroin, but other drugs, stuff like that. You can make a good living. And in those days, you could make a super good living. Not like the poor people. Poor people sell drugs. They sell drugs and they just don't even have no car. Right? In the old days, when you sold drugs, that's when boss man, the system, wanted to turn everybody out on drugs. Now I'm talking about beyond 50 years ago. Or let's say 50 years ago, around 66. This is the height of when things was began to jump up and down here in America, right? So they had to stop it. So drugs, and now I sold marijuana and cocaine. I didn't sell no heroin, but all my friends sold it, and they got pretty rich. And I did pretty good myself. In fact, we had an organization called East Oakland Enterprises. And East Oakland Enterprises was an organization that was really black orientated. And what we wanted to do was we wanted to spread the wealth in the black community. That was what we wanted to do. And we did it. We did it. We did a pretty good job. So that means that we wasn't like Superfly and all those guys. We had a mission. And during the first part of that mission, we had to play a big pretend game with the system. Because we knew that the system had any idea that we was trying to bring up the black community, right, by using organizational skills, crime and all that, then they wasn't going to like it. So what we had to do was we had to play a big game of pretend and disguise. So I took off all that Black Panther looking stuff and I jumped like this, Now y'all made it, the old timers, they would know that that's one of the sharpest niggas in the world right there. That's just the way it is. And matching too. Not only everything match, the clothes match, the cars match. You know what I mean? Now, they don't drive cars that big now. They make smaller cars. But at this time, you see how that car, see, like now y'all have telephones. I mean, cell telephones. And these days, this had a telephone in it, but the unit weighed 300 and something pounds. So it made the car sit down in the back. And the only reason this is sitting level because it got load levels. You know what I mean? Easy ride. That when you start the car up, that pump get to working in and make the car sit even. You know. Now, just being a Negro now, we got mink in here, you can say and you got all that, 11. Now you don't need no telephone in the car. But in those days, if you wanted 11 channels, you had to pay, I don't know, $1 billion or something like that. But anyway, sharp as a tack. This is not me, this is a disguise. Because if I would have kept wearing all that black outfit, Panther hat, you know what I mean, and all that stuff, we wouldn't have lasted 2 weeks, right? But if you just gonna be a show-off nigga, think about it, that's using your mind. As long as the white man think that this is what we're gonna do, what he wanted us to do, right? Just ride around big pretty cars, right? And don't be paying attention to what you're doing. But at the same time, we was establishing what is called East Oakland Enterprises, but that was an economic enterprise zone in Oakland. Economic enterprise, what does it mean? It means anything come in your neighborhood, you control it, and basically anything go out of your neighborhood, you control it, right? That's real. That was at that time the highest level of black nationalism. Y'all remember the term black nationalists, right? So that means we want everybody in our neighborhood to get rich. And they did. Now, Martin Luther King, in this same year, he went in 1968 to Chicago. And that's what he was trying to develop, an economic enterprise zone. But he wanted to do it legally, right? Donations, we used to build a few houses, do that stuff, you know what I mean? Buy everybody a blanket or two. But we wasn't doing it that way. We believe that America was founded on gangsterism. White man came here, took land from Indians, did this and did that. He was stronger, right? We believe Italians came here, poor apple vendors, and then they got themselves a mafia. They whooped the Irish, they whooped all the Jews, they whooped everybody else, and they became the mafia. Now, we was black orientated, so we didn't understand the philosophy of present day Islam. We was thinking in humanistic, physical terms. Power, authority, discipline. So you get yourself people, money, organization, and you start rolling, and pretty soon, Oakland changed. I'm telling you, it's the only place this happened in the United States. Although it was the headquarters of the Black Panther Party, half the people that was with us joined our action because we were producing more for the people than the Black Panther Party was, although we was all kind of together there. That's why when I left the country, when the white man got tired of it, I went to Algeria. And I had to go to Algeria or go to jail, So what I'm saying is the things that are happening right now all come from a long plan, dear believers, and that's what I want to share with you today. If I'm a little long-winded, I'm going to ask you to just do yourself a dua prayer and head on out, because I'm going to try to take my time, and I might be here a little bit. This is, I had subpoenaed a lot of my record years ago, and this was from the 1960s, and it has, the first part has my jail appearance. This is 1967 right here, this one. And there's several pages, as you could see. And this is from my bail bondsman, because when I had a federal case in the 70s, and I tried to subpoena the court records from Oakland, I was in LA, I couldn't get them. So I say, they was keeping them from me. So I said, I know what I'll do. I'll get my bail bondsman record. Every time I went to jail, he bailed me out. And everybody, so look at here, these are pages. And on each page, there's 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. So I must have been the most jailed Negro in history. Gotta be. Now what's unique about that is, I didn't stay in jail but an hour or two because I had money. Other people go to jail 1 or 2, 5 or 10 times, that's it. They can't get, finally they're gonna dry up. But the wealth was so heavy, and it was coming in so regular, and it was people support. The people in the community was supporting us because we were supporting them. And the main thing, man, you know, of course they don't drive them now that much, but man, you want to drive a Cadillac? Yeah. So you take a guy down to the Cadillac place and choose one of them rides. Or you watching your friend walk down the street, you know, from school, high school, and he looking all sad. You pull up to him, nigga, what's wrong with you? Oh, man, this happened. Well, come on with me. And you take it, because Cadillacs make niggas happy in them days, people happy in those days, right? Well, like a Mercedes now. Suppose you was riding down the street and your homeboy pull up and he say, hey, man, what's wrong with you? Man, my woman left me, then I was put out there, all that stuff. He said, well, come with me. And you take him downtown and buy him a new Benz, not these little Benzes they buying now, but a Grand 600. Y'all don't remember them, do you? Not a 600, but a Grand 600. Grand 600 have 2 back seats and 2 windows up, or whatever they call, sky roofs, right? And as long as from here to over there. That's a Grand 600, not no 600, I'm sorry. Suppose somebody took you downtown now and say, man, let me get you a 600, because, you know, cars made niggas happy. And so you say, Cadillac gotta make you happy, right? Make you forget your troubles. That's what we used to do. We used to do that all the time. Come on with me, nigga. And you pull out a stack of money. The cars didn't cost much then, about $10,000. Of course, it took 100 years to make it. But you buy them a ride. That was part of the concept of East Oakland Enterprises. More young black people owned their own homes, right? And did their own business in that period of time than any other time in Oakland's history, and I'm sure DC and everywhere else. Why? Because that was our philosophy. East Oakland Enterprises, right? Here's what the goal is. The goal is to have an independent part of the system where you control your own wealth. And everybody shares. Now, when I came here, they had a few rich niggas. They was telling on everybody, though. What Rayful Edmonds, they was telling on everybody. You couldn't tell it on your mama, anybody. That money they got was for their crew. Suppose they shared the money. Suppose you had gangster crews that all the money they made, they shared it with the neighborhood, right? How many black businesses would you have? Suppose somebody could come to you. It's not like The Godfather or something because you're too young, but, man, I want to do a little something. Suppose you're a boxer. You say, man, I want to manage a few, well, how much it take? Here you go. You go, rent the Oakland auditorium or whatever you want to do and have a few matches, and you just bring me back what you think I need, right? Pretty soon, you're giving everybody a shot. And you're not doing it, you're doing it because that's the philosophy that you have adopted from black nationalism. Let me say that again. That is the philosophy that you have adopted from black nationalism. Another thing is, I might be here for a while, so if it get a little long-winded, because eventually I'm going to get to the real subject of today. The subject of today is all the stuff that you see on TV, in the news, about black people getting shot and murdered and killed by the police and the police department. Tell the brother there's a sisters back there and they had to come up this way. Okay, but anyway, our main part of the story today, so I might as well jump to it because I can see this whole stack. I ain't got time to get to it. Today the subject is something that we have a lot of experience with, is the police. We have, I would say, maybe more experience with the police, and not just way back. I'm going to read you a little. This is just November 13, 2017. Oakland PD was dispatched to 8210 MacArthur Boulevard, the same building as 8208, from the reports of criminal threats. Information includes suspect Reams, myself, has been making threats to so-and-so on YouTube video, and at secondhand information, placed Reams in the Masjid, or the mosque. At the moment, further information said that suspect is known to have guns, has 2 shotguns in his vehicle, which he drove from D.C. Now, I want you to think of a nigger that don't belong in a building that belongs to us, but he's calling the police, which he's a part of them, and he done told them that the nigger in the building got guns. This is from the court record right here. This is a writ that the government filed so that they couldn't put this in the. But anyway, let me finish. When officers arrived, they contacted reporting party Sequila Mujahid, wife of victim Mukhtar Mujahid. I'm not going to tell you who they are. She informed officers that Reams has been threatening her via social media, that Reams was a founder of Masjid al-Islam, but he was voted out January 20, 2014 by the board of directors. I don't want to bog y'all down in the court record, but there's no such thing that ever happened. But he's talking to the police, and he's a part of them. So it's the police. Another officer spoke with Mr. Mujahid, who said Reams had posted videos on social media stating that he would 187, that's murder in California, he would 187 Mujahid and his wife, and that he had gotten a green light to take the Mujahids out. Reams was contacted exiting the building through the front door. he complied with orders and was taken into custody with guns drawn without incident. In other words, when I opened the door, that was the police. Now, this time, it was a police, the sniper police, with one of them armored vehicles in front of the masjid. And they had not only the sniper rifle pointed at, but another 10 or 12 polices, right? So what I'm going to tell you means that I have experience with the police. I have a record here where I was arrested every other day for years. So I had a professional bail bonder that whenever my name showed up or whenever I called him, he would come right across the street and get me out year after year after year. Why? Because the police did not like what we was doing. And that we was doing it in such a way that it was hard to deal with it. We wasn't the type of Negroes that was wearing an outfit that called themselves black nationalists. We was doing black nationalism. We was helping the neighborhood. If you wanted to buy a house, go and buy your house, right? Can you imagine young people in their 20s? I mean, early 20s. Because at that time, I wasn't but 24 or 5 or something. When I left the country, I was 25 or 6. So everybody was my age and younger. So we was doing magic stuff with money. And they didn't like that. Also, we were organized. And we looked out for each other, right? And we pretended like we was Negroes, wasting money, spending all our money on big, pretty cars. That wasn't what was happening. That was a disguise. So when they found out about it, now imagine, I got paperwork to show you. Imagine I come out of prison years later, I open a masjid in Oakland, la ilaha illallah. You think the police is going to change? Heck no. That's the same Negro we've been trying to get rid of all this time. Now he done got the Holy Ghost and he done got full of religion, and he's going to do the same thing he was doing before, except now it's going to have a religious veneer, right? All of a sudden, he's telling the people that he was involved in drugs, and they all know it, but drugs is something used by the system to manipulate and to control you and to destroy your lives. And guess what everybody know? This nigga is a professional. He know he was in it. All his friends was in it. He saw the social, psychological implications of the whole community. So therefore, they was even more hateful then. We got paperwork to show that when I came out of jail, the government said, we don't want you to do no Islam. Remember that? That's what it says. I got all the paperwork. I'm going to just skip over the paperwork because it's too much. You know what I mean? And we'll be in 2-3 hours. What I want to talk about is a diversion that's going on. Here's what the diversion is. The diversion is the system diverting our attention from moving higher and moving forward and moving into the future, and they dragging us back to the past. How they doing that? Everything you see now is a blast from the past, back 50 years ago, right? Think about it. In every movie you see about movement takes you back 50 years. Let's try to explain it. It was a nice movie about Lady Day. What's her name? Lady Day. Strange Fruit. Y'all remember that Strange Fruit? Well, maybe y'all don't remember because they didn't. Huh? Yeah. Billie Holiday, Strange Fruit. Black men hanging from a tree, right? Blood on the leaves, blood on the vine. The FBI didn't like her singing that song. That's where all of our trouble came from, right? Y'all see, there's a little movie about it here recently, but it's real. It's real. The government didn't like that record because it was too true about black people being manipulated and being oppressed, right, by the system. Okay, you probably saw another movie just come out the other week, Judas or something like that. Fred Hampton, remember Fred Hampton? Y'all a little young, so you may not remember. Fred Hampton was martyred in '69. Fred Hampton was a good brother, but Fred Hampton came out with this Rainbow Coalition. Poor black people and poor white people from down south working together. Let me say that again. Working together, right, to solve their problems, which was the rich white system. You see what I mean? So they killed him, took him out. And they now have a movie about it, Judas. Something like that. I don't know, Judas Factor, I don't know. Y'all know what a Judas Goat was, right? Okay, I'll remind you. The white man has a pen where he keeps his goats and he let them out to go eat grass and all that. Then, when it's time for slaughter, they have what's called a Judas Goat. A Judas Goat goes around, collect all those lambs, right? And they bring them into the pen. There's a trap door down at the end that the Judas Goat is trained to go out of, and he done trapped all the other goats, the other lamb, for slaughter. That's where the word Judas Goat come from, because it don't have nothing to do with Judas in the Bible. It has to do with Judas as a real personality and that goat practicing the process of slaughter. So in our society, Judas is one that goes around and traps all the Negroes, snitches on them, tell on them, and do all kind of stuff, and traps them, right? And he go out the other side and go on about his business and trap somebody else. Okay, let me run a few more things here. The police report notes that Forms did not have, they just took all the property and say, okay, it's all right for us to do that. Marshall Al-Islam remembers that there was a previous arrest of subject with a gun. I didn't have no gun because I wouldn't be out on the street if I had a gun. But they just put it in this report. Now this report is, you know, when you order your stuff from a trial, you know, okay. The discovery. This is the discovery that I'm getting all of this from. Upon arrival, OPD contacted. The point is that here's a Negro bringing the police to our building, which, number one, he don't own because this is the deed. This is an enlarged deed to the property, right? And so, it's got my name on it. I'm not going to show you my post sons. He got hit 7 times, and he lived 6 times. At close range, and he lived. I said, boy, you're a lucky joker, but he carries my name. Now, suppose that what would the police do if they see you with pictures of, this is the Rahbar in Iran. That is the head of the whole thing going on over there, right? And you there grinning and got it's a big national meeting, Palestinians, Sudanese. And suppose the people like you so much that they put you on the front page of their political newspaper. Why? Because it's instructive And it's telling the wilayati faqih, their system of government, is a protection against global domination. Suppose right here, you have programs how to punk the FBI. Now, I know y'all don't go around and talk about the FBI, especially call them a bunch of punks. Very few people go down to and call the FBI what they are, a bunch of sweetie pies, a bunch of sissies. So, now if you wanted to see a Negro on the side, this is Mukhtar having the police arrest me, and you could see Masjid al-Islam right there. They don't have a right to do it, but they're doing it. That's what I'm trying to say. They don't have a right. It's like if the police came and arrested me here, they wouldn't have a right to do it. They would be doing it. I'm not going to talk about our good friend Imam Jamil Al-Amin, but this was, and I'll get to what we're talking about in a minute, this revolution from Egypt to the Americas, right? Oakland and the American Islamic Revolution. And I'm talking about this again because we're getting ready to go back to Oakland and we're going to institute all the things we've been talking about on and off for a while, because we've been waiting for a sign and a signal to see where things are. They have been visibly shooting and killing black people all over America like flies, men and women. Isn't that right? Okay, they've been doing the same thing to us, but we've been sliding out the side. Not because we're not having contact, but we're having old folks contact where we know how the system works and we know what to do. Like we talk plenty of trash, but we wait till they get us in the handcuffs, get us in the back seat, then we open up talking about their mama and everything, right? Yeah, everything. And they all got the little recording right there, and we just steady rolling. And we building our case against them. But we're not gonna, when they say, come on out, I just say hands first, body second. In other words, these are my hands. You can't shoot because these are my hands, because they got 12 police cars in front of the masjid at 12 o'clock at night, right? Our masjid, and I've been staying there for 40 years. You see what I mean? But it don't make no difference. We know how the system works. We're happy to be here, not just to live a long time, but remember, King said, longevity has its place. So our goal has been from day one to trap the system in its own crime, in its own criminal behavior. And thanks to Allah, we've been able to do it. Now the government, this is about 10 years ago, they got mad. So they put out this, that Oakland Revolution from Egypt to the Americas, Oakland and the American Islamic Revolution. Then they got Imam Jamil, they got Imam Luqman, and then they got me. Now I want you to think about it. Where is Imam Jamil Al-Amin? He's in prison. He's been there over 20 years now, right? He's going blind. His health is failing. And we was the main one helping his whole case. So we want to get back to his case so we can get him out so he die outside, a free man instead of inside, a prisoner of a system who set him up and put him in. And then Imam Luqman. He was set up in Detroit, right? Y'all remember that case? Imam Luqman, this is Imam Jamil's friend. They just murdered him, that's all. How did they murder him? They had the guy come, the brothers come by and pick up some computers, laptops or something. Okay, some of our brothers are not skilled enough. Can nobody come here and say, Imam Musa, we want you to come move some computers from here to there? So I ain't going, I don't have nothing to do with them. Right? Because I don't want nothing free, like no computers. I don't want to get involved in no crime, because you opening the door, right? So they shot him and killed him. And then they have me. Now that means, nigga, you next. We got your 2 homeboys, and you, nigga, are next. Well, we don't believe that. We believe we had a mission. And our mission during this period, like we had a mission before, it was to show the world that black people can be successful. They can own their own businesses. They can own their own shops. They can own their own stores. And they could have, in a criminal-infested community, a semi-paradise where they control the music and the flow of everything and everybody getting along. When you look at the news, you think Oakland was full of crime. Not in those days. That's why the party could develop there, because everybody liked each other, right? Everybody liked each other, so everybody got along. And Oakland was different. Oakland was 400,000 people. Like D.C. used to have 500,000, now it's 700. But it was small enough to where everybody kind of knew each other, even on different parts of town, right? And each neighborhood just needed a local type of structure and leadership, and people could all of a sudden begin to thrive. That was our goal then. That was almost 50 years ago. It was. And it worked. And all this other fancy stuff is a disguise. We had to upgrade that for modern times. When I mean upgraded, we had to put things on a bigger and on a better level. Because in order to carry out a serious mission, you're going to have time to do it. Usually, you have to have time to do it. So we have to have time. So when we kicked off Masjid al-Islam in Oakland, we had some ideas, and they all written down, get organized, do this, that, and that. Then as we got to moving, we realized that we had an enemy that didn't want us to progress. And who was the enemy? The same one didn't want you to progress in nothing, is right back to try to stop you from progressing in Islam. The same one. Okay. Therefore, as we moved on, we evolved. And so that means that we evolved, emerged above and beyond what we was involved in before. And it is a necessary aspect of revolution. We don't say revolution, we call it evolution. That the people involved in this transition, they evolve step by step, stage by stage, until they reach a level of, we don't say perfection, but excellence. And that's what we did. And we did it in Oakland, and we did it here. So I want you to understand that if you go back a few years, we had school, and I want you to study where our children that went to our school are now. Most of them graduated from the best universities in the country. I asked people around. Everybody, right, are excellent, not only students, but they like the school. We used to have to send the kids home. Y'all got to go home because we got to turn this heat off. We're using up too much money. The kids love to go to school. Can you imagine? Some kind of way, the atmosphere here was such as that they loved to go to school. They liked to be here. It didn't make no difference whether they were studying or what, but they liked. And that like to go to school translated outside when they went to other schools that they liked school. Can you imagine? So if you like going to the basketball court, you're going to get good at it because you like it, right? That is something that people cannot force on their children. They have to encourage it, and they're very fortunate when your children love to go to school to learn. And they are all, let's say, good students. They all have good behavior, and they have good grades too. And then they got Islamic teaching. Hey, and they say, well, yeah, but it costs so much money. I said, yeah, I spent over $500,000 of my own money on the school, not just over 10 years. But what was you going to spend it on anyway, right? So now people say, yeah, but look what's going on now. They say everything is falling down, everything is fine. Let me explain. When you get older, it's kind of like the old master in martial arts. The old master is, if you try to hit him, he don't jump way over there, and all of that. He just move a little bit. All he want to do is not get hit. He ain't going to use up no whole bunch of energy, and he's just going to move real smooth, right? That's the old master when you get old. And you get smart. You're not like the young guy jumping up and and all of that. No, you're an old master. That's what happens. That's the value of longevity. Living a certain amount of years. And also being involved in the process of evolution, evolving psychologically, evolving emotionally, and evolving Islamically. Now, I want to show y'all something, and I know the people, they didn't like it. This is when I was attacked in Oakland. I was attacked. When I went to the hospital, I wasn't going to go to the hospital. My son told me, you got to go. So they thought I was shot in the chest because if you see, all the blood was there. They wasn't looking at my head. They know who did this. I was sitting down and the people moved up on me. And in fact, half of it is on tape because the phone, stuff like that. People here and people in Oakland wanted me to respond with a physical attack, right? And the government wanted it to be a physical attack too. You know why? They did a little research and they turned everybody into tattletales. So, so they said, this guy has a bad temper. If you mess with him long enough, he's going to respond. Well, they don't know. If I could show you some pictures of 60 years ago, I looked at a picture, I think I showed it to y'all before, and I looked at this nigga in a bar, and the way he looked, that face, I said, that ain't me. So I started changing. Can you imagine? You say, I didn't start out like this, and there's some white man. So what is it when you gain the whole world but you lose your soul? I looked at that nigga, I said, that is one mean nigga. Now, we was lucky. I had all power in the city, and nobody happened to do anything to me at that little mean period. So I had time to smooth it down. But when the police do their research, they asked, what's he about? They said, well, shoot, and then the police know when every time they arrest me, I'm talking crazy and everything. So they said, he has a bad temper. All you got to do is make him lose it or do something to him, And he's arrogant too because he's been successful at everything. So that success, they think, makes you arrogant, not humble. Let me explain again. You know, and I'm going to try to condense things. You know that boss man is studying you, and you're studying him. You're studying him. And you know that the people that he's talking to is telling him, this guy, he used to be in Big Hank, and he used to be in The Godfather, and he's used to this. And if you challenge him, he's going to respond. And then they got a few incidences way back. I'm talking about 82, 88, it was 83. Some people come to the masjid talking crazy, and I remember I'm a young guy then. This is 83, it was way back. So, you know, I left a little iron, so I stripped the iron off the bar. You know them little short bars? And they come in, there was an Iranian guy, there was a white guy and two Negroes. And they was talking, yeah, this guy here is paranoid. So I just took my iron bar and I got to whooping him. I didn't whoop him in the head because you kill people, you know, if you're in good shape. So I was hitting them all on the arm. And they was hollering, you're hurting me. I said, I'm hurting you, you're paranoid. You're imagining things. You know, they were trying to say, I'm imagining that they snitches. And so I'm telling them the same thing back. You're imagining that I'm hitting you, busting you upside your body. And I did it twice, so that now they locked in. That you mess with this nigga, he's going to go back into, that was, man, back in 83. That was 83. Not 93, not 2003, not 2013 when a lot of this stuff was happening, right? They had eliminated 40 years of tazkiyah bil nafs, purification of the nafs, evolution in Islam. You see what I mean? So that means that this little old stuff, a physical attack, you don't respond the same way 30 years later that you would when you're younger, right? And everybody here and that all the people coming was saying, man, I wouldn't go for that. I say, you wouldn't have made it 2 weeks in the street. Soon as a nigga do something to you, you want to go kill him like all other niggas do, right? We didn't study it. I don't care whether it's LA, whether it's here. The white man can do what he wants, but if a nigga mess with you, what? Get the crew, we're going to move on them niggas. That's why DC had 400 and 500, I don't know, right? Deaths per year, black people killing each other. You see? I didn't believe in that. I'm going to tell you, when I was running things in Oakland, we never even beat nobody up. You say, wait a minute. That ain't possible. It is possible. If you have a good management process going on, right? If you have a good, you can do it. It's just that nobody, this is what they don't want to get out. They don't want this to get out, but it's getting out. Another thing, I'm going to wrap it up because y'all getting itchy. So I'm going to tell you what this is all about today. We're going back to Oakland, inshallah, and we're going back at a particular time, this time, right? And guess what? The whole world has seen how the police act with black people, right? They've been shooting, murdering, and maligning black people in public, right? And what we're going to do is change the dynamics. They have been trying to take us back to the 1960s, beat and kill niggas, and stop looking forward. I want you to think about it. What does everybody say? Their mind is back. All the movies, Lady Day, all the movies is way back. Everything that you can see, the whole system is trying to get the black mind back there with Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. It's not only that, it's in movies. I was watching TV the other night, the night before last. Well, it was Bumpy Johnson up in New York. Bumpy Johnson. I just saw two of them. Of course, it's Ramadan, but I just happened to say, So they got Bumpy Johnson, Malcolm X, and Adam Clayton Powell, right? And the scene opened when Bumpy Johnson was getting out of Alcatraz in 63. Of course, they closed in 63, by the way. And they showed them working together and working on their own little stuff and doing this and that. And it's not true. It's not true the way they're presenting it. You see what I mean? They're presenting it like the nation of Shirk had a program to rescue black people. Bumpy Johnson had a program to sell drugs to black people. And Malcolm X was at counter purposes, although they cooperated. And Adam Clayton Powell was a line-stealing preacher. That's part of it. That's no big deal. But anyway, the media is trying to take us back 30, 40, and 50 years to solve problems that have already been solved. The police problem and all of that, those people are led to do that. That man kept his knee on that brother's neck for 8 or 9 minutes on purpose, right? He did it on purpose. You could tell it was on purpose. And a sister gets shot the other day. A brother gets shot the day before that. This is out of hand. This is not just the media, TV getting it right away. You know what I mean? But this is a concerted effort to put our minds on that and forget about artificial intelligence and where we're headed for the future. Take our mind back 60 years to solve those problems that have already been solved, right? Integration? Sure, we live in this neighborhood and that neighborhood. But look at society. Hey, just look at commercials. How many commercials do you see a black man and a white woman, or a white woman and a black man? Almost every one of them. Black Lives Matter. How many black people was it out there, and how many white people was it out there? And why did the police come? You remember that part you took on the camera? And the police, because we used to do it, the police are saying, we wouldn't let them people in our neighborhood, when talking about the white people. We said, they're just coming to join with black people. And you could see their faces, just innocent white kids, you know what I mean? To them, it's like a end thing, you know what I mean? But there's one thing about it. I went to one down at Malcolm X Park when they first started coming out with this. And the white kids were saying, hey, do they really do that to y'all? Because you remember, these are just nice little white kids. They're there to show support. Then there's some Negroes from New York. Next time I saw them Negroes, they was down in Ferguson. I saw them on TV. You know what they was doing? They was there talking trash. Yeah, we're going to do this, and yeah, we're going to do that. And they was talking to the police. I said, well, go on and get them then, if you so bad. And then I got up and I gave a quick speech. Ali was holding the mic at that time. I said, we want to thank all of y'all for being here and to show your solidarity with us and to, take up that principle of brotherhood and all of that. Because these are all high school. My daughter was in high school at that time. And I said, don't pay no attention to these Negroes right here. I said, during the movement, them kind of niggas got everybody killed. Come in talking about, we're going to do this to the police. I said, well, do it then. Don't get everybody with you, right? You so bad, nigga. Go on, do them. Yeah. Next time I saw him, I was in California. They was down in Ferguson. And that's why the people were saying, we have to manipulate and control what we're doing. I moved toward a close. Today, they got the Negroes trying to, the same old suspects, trying to manipulate and misdirect the black movement. Same old sharp talking, sharptons, whatever it is. I don't know. At least message Jesse ain't there, thank God. But all them other old ham talking Negro lawyers, you know, the one thing you find out about movement is that they choose, like movie stars and everything, they choose the famous lawyers. They do now. By the cases they get. They choose them. The government choose them. And it's a simple process. Hey, you give us JoJo Boy, and then you get 10 free cases for one. You sell him out, and you got a guarantee you're going to get rid of, you can let 9 niggas go free and charge them $1 billion a piece because you can guarantee it. What lawyer's not going to take that? Right? So, all of these Negro lawyers that you see winning all of these cases and can't hardly talk is because this is a script bred, designed in Hollywood. Just like all of those arguments you were seeing, just ask the brothers. When we was downtown, across from the White House, and we've been doing down there for days, all of a sudden, they're going to have a phony fight. Remember that? So, and it's all on camera. You can see this. So I said, okay, here they go. And then here come the white boy that's been friendly to us for days. Big hair, bushy, no shirt on. Come get me. And I said, watch him now. They're on the same team. Now here they go. Remember, this is a blow by blow. I said, the government now are going to be, now all the police is over here and they're watching and listening. They're saying, yeah. And somebody throw a water bottle and the police get to make, I said, now here they go. This is going to be round one. Something like that. And guess what? They stopped. You know why? Because we was messing up their whole mind on that. That this is a show. This is a show. All the Black Lives Matter, everything you would see is theater. Right? All of the police would have to be dumb to kill all of these black people within a 4 or 5 week span of time and not even take a rest. The police chief would have enough sense to say, hey man, just don't arrest nobody for a while, right? Just take it easy. Don't bother nobody. Just ride around in the car and smoke weed or something, but don't bother nobody, right? They would have enough sense to do that. Why is it now that they're killing more of us in a public way, 1, 2, 3, 4 after another? Is to get our minds back 60 years ago. So we have to think. Now you remember, all the Watts Riot or Watts Rebellion, all of that was police brutality against blacks, right? Why are they doing that? To take our mind back 50 and 60 years ago, not forward. The problems that you have to solve are forward. Artificial intelligence, economics, right? Those are the things that you have to solve now, right? You don't need to go back or let them take your mind back 50 years ago. All the movies everything, right? Fred Hampton, martyred in 69. Anybody else that you see, the Judas factor, Lady Day, way back when, right? Think about it. Those movies that you see right now on TV, they got Bumpy Johnson, Malcolm X, and Adam Clayton Powell on the same team. They were in a way, but not the way they presenting it on TV. They're trying to make new heroes for you. And they're trying to take your mind back. And I'm saying, we're not going to let them do it with us. We're going to get around many of the BSUs, whatever they call them, as we can, and we're going to instruct the youth on how to stay focused on those things that are good and necessary for you and for your future and your community. So that's where we're coming from. And we hope y'all roll with us. All of these things, there's thousands of arrests at one time. So nobody can say that we haven't been arrested and don't know what we're talking about. All of these things that are happening here and in Oakland are for that reason. It's so that we will be instructed on how to behave at this time in this modern system and how to translate that behavior into beneficial results for our people. That's our goal. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're not going to show you all of these other pictures. Armed intruders attacked Masjid al-Islam in Oakland. They thought this was going to be upset. Imam Musa assaulted. That's again in Oakland. This one right here is the first one when they got when they finished, I told the police, the goon squad, I said, hey man, y'all and up y'all's game. Because when they had me on the ground, they had my legs, I was handcuffed behind. They had my legs up in the air, and I was a little heavier than now, if that's possible. And so, like the brother couldn't breathe, I couldn't breathe either. But it's not because they was choking me, it's because they had pressure on my back, and that means that, right, you're on that concrete floor, and they got your legs up, right? And they're putting pressure on the upper part of your body. So all I did was an exercise. I'm just concentrating because you can't panic. And I'm just doing exercise. So I got my hands back here, I'm handcuffed, they got my feet up in the air, and I know that I got to breathe. So I didn't ask them, please let me breathe, 15 police officers. So I'm using them, and I pull up enough to get a breath. So I'm getting a workout. Just taking it easy. Don't panic. So after a while, they took the cuffs off and let me run around the room. And they tells me, now don't you jump up and do nothing. I was 60-something years old, so you don't have to worry about no nigga. Maybe in a movie he might jump up, but with them cuffs on, bruising your body, right? And them, you could feel them. See, you mess with martial arts a little bit, you can feel what they're doing to you. That's how they're killing everybody now. And they don't beat up on the head like the old goon squad. They used to beat niggas and, throw them down the stairs. They don't do that no more. They've been trained now with more martial arts. That's why there's more choking. How many people are dying from chokes and different things forcing their blood pressure up, right? And they die, they collapse. I'm telling you that the police now is not them old dumb police that we used to fight in the goon squad years ago. These police are taught and trained, and you can feel what they're doing to your body. You know what I mean? How they're twisting your arms and how they're twisting your legs and what have you. You can feel it, and if you know what's happening, you can feel it. So what we're saying, dear believers, our job here has been, and it is the same, to highlight all the things that's been happening to us as a people in America and now get it in court. And that's what we're going to do with him. Boss man is going to be in court. And ain't nothing he can do about it because we got all the paperwork. He didn't violate his own laws. We ain't never broke the law at all. He's the one violated his own laws. He's the one that violated his own laws. And therefore, not saying you're going to get no reprieve in his court, but this is the time called waiting for a signal or waiting for a sign, right? I'm telling you, we've been waiting for this sign all along for many years, and now that sign is here. The whole world, their mind is bathed in the oppression of black people by the police forces. This stuff has been happening to us directly for years in Oakland, and as a sidebar here in D.C. Yes, it's been happening, but it's happening different here in D.C. They charge you this, they charge you that, anyway, it ain't no big deal. But let me explain. I consider ourselves, we don't use the word lucky, but the Quran uses the words has, fortunate. Fortunate. وَمَا يُلَاكَهَا إِلَّا ذُو حَتِيمٍ عَظِيمٍ. And no one will be granted such goodness except those who exercise patience, self-restraint, none but persons of the greatest good fortune. Now, the Quran doesn't use terminology like luck, but the second meaning of this word is luck. Here they use good fortune. But if you're looking in a dictionary, the first meaning is one thing, the second meaning is luck. That's the luckiest nigga in the world. So we're accepting that at this time. That this mission is so important and so reflective of the time in which we're living in that, nigga, you just lucky to play a part in it. You know, like not rolling the dice and get lucky, but lucky that the government never just could get rid of you like they wanted. And they've been trying. Or everything that they do never make you lose composure. I want you to understand that there's a thing called focus. And if you can remain your focus, your self-discipline, your self-control, your self-management, and you can do that under all circumstances, then you can do just about anything, right? You're prepared, right? You're trained to do whatever it takes, whether it's documentation and keeping the charts and the documentation clean so that you could focus. And whenever you need to go to your archives, there's your archives, and you can pull up systemized teachings on this subject, right? That's what we're trying to tell you that we have been doing all of these years. It's not luck. Now we're going back to the original meaning. It's not luck. It is that Allah is allowing you to play a certain part and a certain mission for a certain time. And the last thing I'm going to mention is our people have not been focused enough. Just like in the 60s, when we all had to run off and go into exile, is because our people did not have enough time to get trained. We were different from other revolutions in China and other places. They had years to go through certain training processes. Shoot, China, the Communist Party started in 1921 or something like that, right? They didn't go on a long march where they lost almost 1 million people till 1935. They had time to learn. They had millions of people to lose, right? We didn't have that time. When Freedom Riots started in 1961, a few years later, they're having open rebellion in the streets, and the government come down, infiltrate our groups, and kill us off. Some they run off. We was with in Algeria. Some they just killed and slaughtered, right? And then sometime somebody get away. It's the duty of that nigga. Did he get away? Is not to stay here, to get off his behind and figure and think and pray and study so that he can lift up whoever want to get lifted up. At least they'll have an opportunity, right? At least they'll have a chance. I'm saying that's what's happening today. And the last thing I'm going to say is all the Negroes running around talking out of the side of their mouth about the Sunnah, and you walk by them and they hold their head up and won't even smile at you. And they're talking about the Sunnah. The Sunnah means you have to smile. If you can't give no brother no sadaqah or zakat, right, what you supposed to do? Smile. At least give a nigga a smile. Look, we got a big job here. Because that criminal crew, Saudi Arabia, has infected America, England, Africa, the whole world has been affected by that Saudi move. And they got people thinking there's 1 or 2 hadith you stick to them, and that's your whole religion. Right? That's your whole religion. Hey, they can think and believe all they want. We're not with them. We're not with them. We know who our enemies are. It's not the other Muslims. Unless they were, it is this, the Zionist flavored system, colored system here in America. It is the disbelieving United States government that will hire a white man, a nigger woman, or anybody else they want to lead you off to the slaughter. Judas goats, both of them. Isn't that right? I'm going to close with this. That nigger woman down there at the White House, they talking about, she's from California, you know. They talking about how nice she is. She was the Attorney General in California. You know what her job was? We're going to put all the mothers in jail if their children don't go to school or something. I said, boy, they got old Kamala. That's her name, Kamala. Boy, that girl is serious, right? And she just talking so sweet, you know. Well, anyway, voila. We seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. We seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. We seek thy refuge from cowardice and niggardliness. We seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffice us with what is lawful. Keep from us what is prohibited. With thy grace, make us free from want of what is besides it. Ameen.